I'm Jordan Hadfield. This is Faster Film Critic. Today on the show, we talk Companion with Kolter and Chase Fugel. Companion is a 2025 dark comical thriller directed by Drew Hancock, starring Sophie Thatcher, Harvey Guillen, and Jack Quaid. Word of advice, if you're a robot looking for love, don't date a human. We are one messed up species. Get in, we're going cinephiling.
Faster Film Critic. Talk.
Good day, gentlemen.
Good day.
You ready to talk about love?
Oh, well, always.
A little robotic romance?
Yeah,
That's my kind of romance.
Little fleshy, steely, kissy.
Getting weird quick.
Companion, guys.
Yeah.
Before we dive into the movie, I want to talk about the trailer. This is the coolest trailer I've seen since Long Legs.
Yeah, it was a
You're
good
talking
trailer.
about the first trailer, right?
Yeah.
The very teaser trailer.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
It was.
It starts out with like this kind of sexy music, this love-making music, and it brings up this from the studios that brought you Notebook, and he's all making dinner, this delicious dinner, and he sets it on the table, zooms in close to his face. Oh, he's looking good. It zooms in close to her face. She's looking even better. Then all of a sudden, the music, and it goes down, and she's in handcuffs in the chair.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Says the studio that brought you Barbarian.
Right, yeah.
It definitely, if you're paying attention, it hints in the trailer that the movie involves robots.
Sure.
You got to be paying close attention, but there's some subtle hints in there that this is kind of a robotic romance.
Right.
And I love the way that the trailer portrayed the thrilling aspect of the story without really telling you what the story was.
Sure.
Yeah.
I went into the movie really having no idea what I was watching.
Yeah.
And most trailers tell you exactly what the story is. I mean, you sit down and you know what you're watching.
Yeah.
I love that kind of element of surprise in a trailer when they can pull it off. So props to the marketing team here. I thought they did a fantastic job.
Yeah. Unless you watched the second trailer.
Yeah.
I don't know that I did watch the second trailer.
It's best you didn't, and I wish I hadn't either. But it gives away far too much, man. If I'd have gone into this movie not knowing anything, it would have been so much more fun. Still loved it. But
You're contradicting all the praise I'm throwing at the marketing team here.
Well, dude, movies do this these days, man. They'll put out one like good, clever trailer that'll hook you. And then if I had half a brain, I would just steer away from the rest of the marketing stuff. But, sometimes it finds me by accident. I'm looking at something and it, just comes on.
I'm of the opinion that huge franchises that already have everyone excited don't need a trailer at all.
Sure.
Maybe like a 15-second, 20-second teaser.
Right.
Like just a little glimpse. Don't show me anything. I don't want to know anything.
Yeah.
If you're not Avatar or Captain America, a trailer is, of course, required. But why do we need multiple? Like, why can't you show me one trailer?
I don't know. And it feels like the closer to the movie we get, the more they reveal. I've never understood that.
I don't understand that either. Another thing I loved about the trailer is so much of what was shown in the trailer doesn't actually take place in the reality of the movie.
Right.
Uh-huh.
In other words, there are scenes of the movie where Iris is calculating what her actions will lead to.
Right.
And they lead to some pretty creative and clever, funny, thrilling, violent outcomes.
Yeah.
And a lot of those calculations are shown in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that whole aspect of the film, by the way, was really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's more of a surprise when you see it, when it's not in the same context in which you originally saw it.
Just the idea of projecting these what-if scenarios in the film as if they really played out.
Yeah.
It presents this path, and then you walk down it a little bit, and then it comes back to, and then it presents another path, and you walk down that a little bit, then it comes back. I thought that was really cool. That was one of my favorite aspects of the film.
Yeah. It's not a new concept by any means, but it was clever, it was well written, well performed. It was a lot of fun.
Do you know what else is fun? Did you guys check out any of the highlights from CES this year?
No.
Dude, there is a robot named Aria that was presented.
Oh, no.
A humanoid robot.
Oh, God.
We aren't that far away from Iris in this film. It was crazy. It's crazy. Like, we are there. Artificial intelligence is here.
Yeah.
Robotics are real.
Yeah.
Dude, these humanoid robots exist already.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Begs the question, why are people such butthole jerks to robots, man? Even when I use ChatGPT, I'm like, hey, ChatGPT, what's the best way to, take a poop in the woods? And whatever it comes up with, I'll always say, hey, thanks, GPT. GPT always says, yeah, you're welcome. Anything else I can help you with? And I'm like, no, you're the best.
You're a gentleman, Kolter.
Well,
a true gentleman.
That's so cute. You're already forming a relationship.
Yeah, I think I'm just scared. I don't think it has anything to do with being cordial or polite. I want them to remember me when Skynet takes over. Like, you let that guy go. He's not a butthole jerk to robots.
I will be dead. I've been a butthole jerk to robots.
Yeah, I know.
I order ChatGPT. Yeah, it's bad.
Oh
Like,
my
I get
God.
so furious.
How does
Siri,
ChatGPT
you
respond?
suck. I hate you, Siri.
Well, they're starting to clap back now a little bit, I feel like.
They're getting angry.
Yeah.
Spell Siri backwards.
Oh,
What do you get when you spell Siri backwards?
Well, what you get, good sir, is Iris.
Iris,
Mm.
which is the lead robot in this film.
Very
Kind of
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of little cool tech nods. I love the fact that Josh has found a way to illegally mod Iris. Just like,
What'd you guys think of this movie overall?
I mean, going from the trailer, the first teaser trailer, I was a little disappointed.
huh?
I think I got more lost in the second half than the first half. There was just so much distractions from what was really interesting in the film. Like, a lot recently, there's this gay comedic relief trope
Huh? Okay.
that I am so tired of. And it treats gay people like they're just always idiots, just there to
Like
make
they're
people
there to be
laugh.
funny?
Yeah.
They're the
Yeah.
comedians of the group?
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my gosh, let's get to the interesting parts of the story.
Right. Yeah,
That's-
it's stereotypical.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
But there was a lot that I liked about it. The ideas, and people are really getting in relationships with AI in real life, which is crazy. It sounds so absurd, and seeing it in this movie was
It does.
pretty cool. And Jack Quaid playing the incel was
Right.
was fun
Yeah,
to
essentially,
watch.
yeah. Yeah, he was kind of
Yeah.
fun, right? You think you kind of know him, but then there's this slow reveal that shows kind of what a piece of crap monster he is. A lot of little fun twists and turns along the way, but that first act is it's a little clunky. Like, it takes a little bit long setting it up. It's a little bit overt in the terms that, like, all the characters kind of tend to react to Iris in this kind of negative, dismissive way, all except for Harvey Guillen's character. Eli, we find out why, I think, later on. He's the only one that kind of embraces her, gives her a hug. And again, it could be interpreted two ways. Is this just like the stereotypical gay man who's being depicted here? When on the topic of Harvey Guillen, man, like, that dude's comedic timing was underused in this movie. Because he's awesome in What We Do in the Shadows. I'm going off on a tangent here, but
I love the characters in this film. I hear what you're saying about the stereotypical comedic homosexual role.
Yeah.
You know, I definitely hear you there, and I agree with you, but he is really funny.
He is.
I thought he was perfectly cast for this film. Maybe his comedic talent was underused. I would agree there, but I did enjoy the characters largely. I did enjoy the comedy. I didn't expect this to have any funnies in it.
I didn't either.
interesting.
It was like a satire movie.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking this was a dark thriller, and it was a dark comedic thriller.
Oh,
Yeah.
very much. I actually feel like there was room for more humor in the story.
Sure, going into it, I didn't expect any humor at all, but looking back, yeah, I'd take more laughs. Absolutely. I do think there were some writing errors in this story.
Same.
Tell me this, did I miss something? The murder takes place. They're trying to figure out what to do, and Josh calls the police. Josh is like, we've got to call the police. We've got to get the cops out here. Tell them there was a murder.
Right.
Why did the police never show up? Did he not really call them? Because he said he called them, and then
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, I think the pace of the movie at that point made it easy to kind of skip over. Actually, didn't even really dawn on me until you mentioned it. That there was that moment where maybe I missed a line of dialogue where they decided to go a different direction. But I do remember Josh saying, "Hey, we got to call the cops." As if,
You know, at first I'm like, where are the cops at? And I'm like, okay, well, maybe this place is really remote and it's going to take them a little while to get there.
Yeah.
And then Iris is locked in the Tesla on the side of the highway and she's trying to kick herself out, and the sheriff sees her and pulls over. She's like, yeah, I was up at Sergei's house. I mean, she's speaking in German, which I actually thought was really funny.
That was
Yeah, yeah.
clever.
That was super clever. That was a really cool scene. But she communicates that she was at Sergei's house, and the sheriff was like, oh, tell Sergei I say hi. And I'm like, well, wait a second. Weren't you notified there's a murder up there? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
What's going on? Yeah.
And she's all covered in blood, and there's not a lot of,
Sure.
didn't tip anybody off.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I think they talked about calling the police, and then she escaped. Wasn't that the way it panned
Maybe.
out? And then they ran out to the forest and got
Yeah.
distracted.
Okay, maybe they never did. I thought they did. And I thought he was saying, crap, we got to get her cleaned up before the cops get here.
Yeah.
We're in a mad hurry. We got to track her down now because they're on their way. That's what I thought was happening, and maybe I just missed it.
You know, another piece of the writing that didn't work as well for me, the reveal of Eli's boyfriend, Patrick, being another robot. I was like, oh, brilliant. Didn't see that coming. That was a really cool little reveal. The reveal
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, the reveal of Patrick being self-aware that he's a robot didn't work for me.
Yeah.
You know, it took so much convincing to get Iris to realize that she was a robot, whereas the character of Patrick kind of puts it together for himself over the years of being with Eli, which it didn't quite work, and I don't know that it was that necessary for any kind of interesting plot development or character development.
What do you guys think about the overall idea of like a self-aware robot?
So it's funny because I agree, Kolter, that point wasn't necessary. It wasn't required.
Yeah.
But I did think it was kind of interesting. He's an older version, and he's been around a lot longer.
True.
And if we have these self-aware robots, I thought it was kind of an interesting idea that he was able to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think the problem for me was that it wasn't explored more.
Yeah. It almost seemed too obvious that what they were trying to set up in that moment is some kind of alliance between Patrick and Iris. I kept kind of expecting that, like, I kind of thought that's where it was going to go. And it ended up
at least an understanding.
Yeah, right. You know, and it kind of just ended up, well, he just gets reprogrammed to be Josh's companion, which it was also an interesting twist that he was possibly desperate enough to just go this route and kind of unfolded it in an interesting way. But
the biggest weakness for the film, again, was just some of these writing elements. They just acted like a drag to the story that really slowed it down.
Right.
And most of those happened in the end, in the third act of the film for me.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about Patrick being reprogrammed to be Josh's robot. I don't know, man. When he turns into the cop and he's like a T-1000 from Terminator 2.
That's exactly the vibes I got. Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, I don't know, guys. This is the wrong direction here.
Yeah.
And when the techs show up and they're talking to him again, he's the T-1000. The techs show up and that whole conversation between the techs and
A little weird.
Josh and Patrick, it was like, what universe are we in now?
Yeah, exactly. Just
Dead
enough
people
of
in
a
the
departure.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it just
Hey, officer, you look so familiar. Where do I know you from?
Right.
Oh, you know, that's funny. I thought he looked familiar too. I've been thinking about the whole thing. And then he gets out in the van and he's like, oh, he's an older model. I was like, that's a step much closer to Megan, M3gan.
Oh, good point, man. Well put. Well put. Yeah. Yeah, just a little bit too
all of
stupid
that.
to fit in with the rest.
And I felt like this film is one step above Megan,
Okay.
but two giant leaps behind Ex Machina.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
10 giant leaps behind
Yeah.
Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Ex Machina is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
There are no writing errors in Ex Machina. It
Agreed.
is intelligent all the way through.
Yep.
This film is more funny. It's not as serious as Ex Machina,
Yeah.
which I think works. It's intelligent in places,
Sure.
but there are some Megan writing elements.
I think that's apt. Had it not been for Sophie Hatcher and the rest of the cast, this would not have smacked as well as it did. She carries the movie.
She was great,
She's-
wasn't she?
Oh, she's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. She's definitely
Yeah, she was really good.
carving a path for herself. I think you can say the same of Jack Quaid. I think he's coming off a good ride from The Boys and this, and he's got, I think, Novocaine coming out soon. Man, that dude's got his dad's charm and smile. I mean, it's crazy to see. Every time he grins on screen, I think of his dad. It's funny.
Some of the most impressive elements of Sophie Thatcher's acting here is just her facial expressions, the way she's able to communicate emotion and thought
Oh, yeah.
through very subtle facial expressions.
Yep. Yeah.
Really impressive.
Yeah.
There were some parts where I thought it was a little over the top, though. Went beyond subtle. It was like, come on. Like, tone it down just a little bit with the facial expressions.
Really?
Did you not feel that?
Not with her. No, I didn't.
You know,
Wow.
I thought she did a great job.
there were some parts, and I always ask myself, is that an acting choice or is that a directing choice? I tend to kind of blame missteps like that on the director. It's ultimately their job to kind of guide that performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some moments. I do agree with that. But overall, I think Jordan, you said it very well. Yeah, she's great at depicting innocence and vulnerability and anger. And there's a great scene where she's kind of, in her default settings, charging up, and she truly looks like a blank slate. I mean, it's like nothing is behind. There's no soul behind those eyes. And just so there was a lot of cool elements that really kind of worked.
And then when she takes control over Josh's phone,
Yeah.
and she turns to the intelligence setting and she turns it up to 100,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you see in her face that she gets more intelligent. Like, that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, very subtle, but
Yeah.
it was really cool.
Yeah, and conversely, when he turns all the way down to 0, I was thinking, man, like, not that I'm of the type to be inclined to purchase a robotic girlfriend, but if I
You
were,
prefer the blow-up ones.
yeah, exactly. You know, well, they're easier to move around, but
Plus, they're deflatable, so you can hide them easier. From
exactly,
when the
yeah.
parents come over.
Hide him-
Plus,
hide him
they
from
aren't self-aware.
your- yeah, you can hide him from your grandma a lot easier. But man, dude, I was thinking, like, I turn that thing up to 100 and talk to her about aliens all day long. Like, let's get into some stuff. Let's check out the stock markets. Like, part of a good relationship is being intellectually stimulated too. But yeah, as we see, Josh,
Absolutely.
you know, Josh is obviously not interested in that crap at all. You know, there's some themes of kind of abuse and objectification and things like that are, they're not smacking you over the head. There are times when it's fairly blatant, but the themes and the ideas are presented pretty elegantly up to a certain point in the movie, I think.
However, I think the message of the movie is shed these abusive relationships.
Sure.
Like, don't allow this.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Ira says, the happiest day of my life is when I met Josh.
Yeah.
And the second happiest was the day I killed him.
Right. Yeah, that elicited
Which I thought was a really cool piece of dialogue.
It was.
And so I think that's the message is there are men out there that are very abusive
Right.
and that manipulate women and try to control them.
Yeah.
And sometimes women go along with that, put up with that for too long.
Sure.
You know, I've dealt with it in my own family to a large degree. And
Yeah.
I think this story is saying to women, putting a stop to it, standing up, maybe not killing the dude, but
Right.
getting out of the relationship is a happy thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I did think that message was important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
kind of regaining some agency and
As much as I didn't like some of the overt facial expressions from Sophie Thatcher, I did love her performance overall. And same with Jack Quaid. He's somebody that I don't think I could ever take super seriously in a role.
yeah.
After watching the trailer, I was like, okay, I'm excited to see where he takes it.
Yeah.
Me not being able to take him seriously made the incel, hysterical, weird, insecure, controlling stuff at the end
Right.
way more impactful, I guess, or just fun to watch.
Yeah.
Because
was
it just
fun to
felt
watch.
like you were watching this bubbling
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah, the reveal was interesting. The beginning of the movie starts depicting his character as kind of innocent and charming, and you don't really get a peek into his life until I think it's well into the second act, where he's living in a pretty barren apartment, and he's kind of giddy like a weird teenager when this robot shows up and this team is in his place setting it up, and that's when you start getting the ick about him. Like, oh man, there's something
Yeah.
inherently off with the concept of
Yeah.
going through this thing, and then the questions that he asked to the programmer who's setting it up for him. And yeah, but it's funny, man. Like, I've seen Jack Quaid in interviews, and he's been in some Red Letter Media stuff where, I think he's just a very naturally kind of positive dude who's
Yeah.
accessible and nice. And sometimes people get kind of, they're sort of limited in their range in terms of what they can do with characters they play because of just who they are naturally as people. So it's kind of an interesting point that I definitely agree with.
Let's go ahead and rate it. What'd you guys think?
I thought it was pretty fun. I'll give it 3 stars. Good Valentine's Day. Get ready for the Lovin' Season movie. Nothing amazing, but it was fun.
I'm going to start calling it that from now on. You guys ready for the loving season? It's coming up.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the loving season. No, this movie had a nice blend of horror and romance and humor and some thriller aspects and a little bit of noir. And yeah, you can tell it was kind of borrowing some elements from Terminator. And even when she peels her hand off at the end of the movie, her robotic arm is kind of very Terminator-esque. Yeah, and she's at the end of the movie, she's liberated. She's driving past this car where there's this bulbous businessman on the phone bitching to somebody we don't see, but we just get the impression that he's a jerk. And sitting next to him in the passenger seat is the same model as her, slightly different. She kind of looks over to her, and she kind of lifts her robotic arm up and gives her a little finger wave and drives off. It was kind of a cool little way to end the movie. So I wish I had not seen that second trailer. If I'd have gone into this movie blind, I think I would have enjoyed it even more. It's not perfect. It's got some interesting choices and things that kind of poke holes in it, unfortunately. But I had fun. It was a nice surprise, especially in the month of January. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
I agree with you guys. After the trailer, my expectations were quite high, and those expectations weren't met. But I had a good time in this movie. I thought it was a great way to spend 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more funny than I expected, but overall, I was engaged in the story. I liked the characters. Writing errors aside, I'm very comfortable giving this film 3 stars. But please, let us know what you think.
If you enjoy the themes explored in Companion and like the idea of a slower-paced existential film, I can't help but recommend Spike Lee's 2013 film, Her. We follow the character of Theodore, played by Joaquin Phoenix, as he navigates his feelings for an artificial intelligence robot. This film explores themes of connection and loneliness in a very unique and entertaining way. It's one I think you should check out.
Thank you for listening to Faster Film Critic. Please join us next episode when we look backwards at 2024 and discuss the very best films the year had to offer. You can also follow us on Letterboxd, Cinetrek, and Instagram. Email us at fasterfilmcritic@gmail.com. Hit us up with any questions, comments, feedback, or review requests, and please share this episode with your movie-loving friends.